What if I told you that one of the most famous stories in all of history was secretly encoded inside a single cryptic verse? Well, today, we're diving into a really fascinating analysis that does just that. We're going to decode one line from the book of Revelation that, according to this interpretation, reveals a powerful hidden narrative.
And here it is, Revelation 11, verse 11. Now, on the surface, it seems pretty clear, right? It's describing a dramatic resurrection. But the analysis we're digging into today argues that every single phrase in this verse is a carefully placed clue, and all these clues point to one of the most significant events ever. You got to think of it like a prophetic puzzle. So, what is this deeper story that's supposedly being told here? Well, the source material we're looking at suggests this isn't just some general prophecy about the future. Nope, it's a detailed, symbolic retelling of a very specific and very foundational event in history. To solve this puzzle, we've got to ask the right questions. Who exactly are they? What is this spirit of life from God? And what could possibly happen that would cause great fear to fall on everyone watching? So let's break it down phrase by phrase and see what picture starts to take shape.
Okay, our investigation starts with the clock, the time frame. The verse gives us a very specific duration, after 3 days and a half. Now, why that exact amount of time? Well, according to this analysis, this is the first major clue to unlocking the whole thing. So check this out. The source draws a direct parallel right here. The argument is that this isn't some coincidence. The 3 days and a half in Revelation directly mirrors the time that Jesus was in the tomb. You see, in this kind of apocalyptic writing, that specific time frame is often a code. It signifies that period of death right before a huge divine resurrection. And this connection is absolutely key. That 3-day period is central. It's the core of the story of Christ's victory over death. The source we're looking at says that by using this exact time frame, the verse in Revelation is deliberately locking its narrative onto the resurrection of Jesus. It's the first big piece of the puzzle. Okay, so we have the time frame. That's piece number one. Let's move to the next key phrase and see how this builds. What's the power source for this whole event? The verse says, "The spirit of life from God entered into them." In the original Greek, that phrase is pneuma zois. And this analysis is pretty clear that this isn't just any life force. It's specifically the divine power of God that brings the dead back to life. It's described as the breath of the Almighty, the same creative force that gives life all throughout the scriptures. And boom, this verse from Romans really makes the connection unmistakable. The source highlights this to show that the spirit of life in Revelation is explicitly identified as the exact same spirit that raised Jesus from the dead. So first, the time frame points to Jesus, and now the power source does too. See how it's building? All right, the next piece of our puzzle is the action itself. What happens when the Spirit enters them? The verse says something really simple. They stood up. According to the analysis, this simple little phrase is absolutely packed with meaning. And they stood upon their feet isn't just about getting up. It's a declaration of ultimate victory over death itself. It's that definitive moment where death completely loses its power. You could say it's the symbolic equivalent of finding the tomb empty. Just listen to how Matthew portrays that victory. The resurrection wasn't some quiet, subtle thing. It was this massive, supernatural display of power. We're talking a great earthquake, an angel descending from heaven, a massive stone rolled away by divine force, not by human hands. This act of standing up was literally a world-shaking event. So that brings us to the final clause, which describes how the onlookers reacted. And it wasn't wonder or joy or even just confusion. No, it was great fear. So why such a terrifying response? The source here argues that this fear was completely, 100% justified when you think about the apocalyptic chaos that was going on around the crucifixion and resurrection. For 3 hours, total darkness covered the land. An earthquake literally split rocks apart. The temple veil, this massive curtain separating the Holy of Holies, was torn in two from top to bottom. Graves opened up. These were not normal occurrences. These were signs that the very fabric of reality was being torn apart. And a quick peek at the original Greek words just reinforces this idea. The fear described is phobos megas, which literally means great fear or intense terror.
This wasn't just being startled. This was a deep, profound dread that fell on people who had just witnessed a divine power completely overturn the natural order of things. So here's the crucial point. This fear was especially powerful for the people in charge. The Roman soldiers, the religious leaders, they had just crucified someone they thought was a mere man. But now, after seeing all these terrifying events, they were faced with the chilling possibility that they had just killed the Son of God and failed to stop him. And this, of course, led directly to cover-ups and desperate attempts to control the story.
And so, here we are. We've arrived at the source's conclusion. When you assemble all the pieces of the puzzle, the 3.5-day time frame, the life-giving spirit, the total victory over death, and that great fear that shook the establishment to its core, Revelation 11:11 completely transforms. It's not just a prophecy anymore. It becomes a concise, powerful, almost poetic portrait of the resurrection of Christ.
This whole analysis leaves us with a pretty fascinating thought, that these ancient texts can work on multiple levels, with entire epic narratives packed into just a few symbolic words. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? If one single verse can hold this incredible story, what other meanings are just lying there, hidden in plain sight, waiting to be discovered?